You say, like, where in the area you all was living, it had a lot of things going on. If you compare it to now to back then, you say a lot things was always continuing, always, in operation. Where where did the change happen, do you think?
I see we touch on politics a little bit. I wanted to know how you even get into politics.
Growing up, you was always outspoken.
Respect.
So you would say the community, when it comes to someone being different.
It's rough.
Welcome back, everyone, to our other podcast of The Talk. Here with us today, we have Mr. Charles Woodley. I know him as an entrepreneur. I know him as the man in the kitchen. And also I know him as a construction worker as well. I know there are other more stuff that you do in the community, like, for example, the All for One. And we'd like to know more about your childhood. Yeah. So you can fill us on what else is missing.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. Childhood. For me, Statia was it. I mean, I didn't know anything else, and I took a lot of pride in seeing just the people on my street. The elders handling their business, whether it's selling eggs, selling milk, provision, fixing cars, having their taxis. On my street alone in Concordia, everybody was busy with something. So that for me was amazing. I could walk on my street and pick up some provision. I could get milk, I could get eggs, I could get everything on my street. The older folks would come to my father's place and they would make blocks early in the morning, So there was always something happening. There were people pounding rocks for the roads. So these are things that, today you might be like, hey.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a lot happening because it was always interesting. For me, we had a tannery back then where they used to do leather right next to my house where the fire station sits today.
Wow.
So I used to go over there also. That was entertainment, amusement, and also a form of education. And further up, you had the government garden, experimental garden. Today, it is different than how it was back then.
Where was it located, the experimental
right where
garden?
the vet is now and the piece go back, used to be the government experimental garden, and they used to have some farmers there. I think from the last set, Jamal would be one of the only surviving farmers that really worked in there. All the others has passed on. But after school, myself, Kenneth Dossett, who is cut up, we would go up there, help them throw out some weed. We get watermelons and this and that. But there was always something for us to do within the neighborhood that would keep you amused. Of course, my father had his livestock, sheep, goat, cows, ducks, you name it, turkeys. We had them all. So there was always something to do. I didn't like the farming too much. It was more my brothers. And it was part of the household. So, in school, I went to the Bethel Methodist School first, and then I went to the Catholic school, the Golden Rock School. That time, it was the nuns, and they were the ones managing or directing the school there. And I wasn't Catholic, but there was no elementary school from the Methodist back then. Okay. It was either Catholic or public school.
Yeah.
So I attended that, and my first teacher there was Teacher Debbie. So I think she had just not too long come out of schooling also, maybe 2 years before. But Teacher Debbie was one of my first teachers there. So you see how young I am.
Yeah. You say, like, where in the area you all was living, it had a lot of things going on. If you compare it to now to back then, you say a lot things was always continuing, always, in operation. Where did the change happen, do you think?
I think we were more community minded back then, and for the simple fact that we had less, what you would say, money, we would barter more. For me, that system worked. I mean, I don't need to tell anybody how our system worked here, but I knew it worked.
Yeah.
Your grandfather, for instance, Monte, you didn't, I don't know if you know Monte.
No.
Monte and my father were very good friends. Monte had a lot of cows. But they would exchange. The Burkles used to do a lot of planting. They would come and take the manure, go and take it to their plantations and or the ground, what you used to call it. And in the end, you will get sweet potato, peanuts, this and that. Wow. Everybody was battering, and it was a system that worked.
Yeah.
Now, I believe with the terminal that was in the 80s, and it bring new money.
Yeah.
So people start to see money more. It wasn't back in the 80s as it, progressed, and it evolved into something where it is a lot more money than people were making back then. So, for instance, to build a house back then, it was a community. You just have your drinks and your eats, and you tell your friends, hey, we're going to pour the foundation. They're there. We're going to pour the floor. Yeah. They're there. Nobody was paying for anything. So you would find that, hey, this one pouring today. One of the persons, that I'm really, I could say happy for or proud for is Errol Cobbler. Cobbler came here. Cobbler helped a lot of people when he came here. He was just amazing, and he was, helping a lot of people who want to build. Max Fortin was one also. He would help you lay out your house. There were a lot of people, even Tia, Bimbi, all of these older guys, if they see you want to build or do something, they would tell you, hey, I could do this for you, I could do that for you. Your friends would come and do the big things, pouring of the roof and all of that. But we were more community-minded. Yeah. Everything was a community thing. So with money coming in, it changed that social aspect of things, and it became more, hey, you're going to pay me. And
even for advice or a consultation.
Yeah, it changed. It changed a lot. Some people still have it. I know my brother, Leonard, for instance, he would work day and night, no matter who, no matter where, he would be helping. There were some other people, Gordon, Elvin and father. This man, these people were beasts, Ruford, Merkman and these people. They were people that in the community, like they never slept. They always were busy helping also to get things going. So things were moving, maybe not in the speed of today because the money wasn't there. However, it was a community thing, and because it was a community thing, it was a good thing. Yeah. You would enjoy yourself. I remember pouring roofs where 3 and 4 mixers on site, people loading with hand, and everybody fighting to see who can get their mixer load first and how much mixers.
More hard work.
Because you're amongst the men, the older men, it was, it was something. It was a happening. It was a social gathering. When you're done, you drink, you eat, and you chill, and then sometimes you go to the beach. But it was a nice time. Yeah. So those things, we lost them when we got more money. Yeah. And then we had the driver's license business that brought in more money. Yeah. And the medical school. Yeah. So people went into, and then people don't have time to do certain things no more because their focus is now on, hey, I need to take care of myself, no more a community. I'm looking forward to my household, if I can change my room into an apartment, if I can. So people started becoming more reserved, more looking into, hey, how can I self-preservation, if you would call it that way, but they started looking more towards their own interests. And then with time, I remember living in Curacao and actually making a little, what you would call it, somebody asked me to write something about Statia, and I spoke about this, and they wanted me to sign it. Yeah. But when I came back to Statia, I was like, ooh. But I wrote this thing, but after a few years, you realize things change. Yeah. Things change. So with money, People change.
Was it a book or was it a plan?
No, it was just someone asked me. I think it was from Social Affairs. They had been doing, and they wanted to know some stuff on Curacao about the islands.
Oh, okay.
And someone connected them. Someone from the church, the Methodist Church, they connected them with me, and they called me. They were like, "Oh, we want to print this piece. We need to see you." And I think they looked me up and I signed it. I don't know where it was published. But I believe it was published somewhere. Yeah. And but it was more talking about the way I came up on Statia.
Oh, nice.
The same things that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Would you say Statia, because where agriculture is concerned, do you think Statia was more self-sustainable then to now? Well,
the thing is that people had a plan then for agriculture. People, there wasn't so much development either. So you had enough land for farmers, and for farming, and for agriculture, for farming and for other things. However, I could remember when I was in 6th grade, there was a debate in the community center. Yeah. And I could remember saying, hey, we need to create a plan where we keep farming and then we continue with tourism, because eventually it all boils down to we barely have any livestock anymore. Yeah. I mean, people will disagree with me, but knowing me, that's my opinion, knowing from what I know. And I go to the butcher stall still to get meat, and sometimes there's none. Yeah. So things have changed where those things are concerned. But if we had ever moved towards putting a plan in place for sustainability, I would say back then we had Hazel, for instance, had over Whitewall, and he was exporting to St. Martin tomatoes. He was exporting, I think, avocados, different things, you name it. I think Henry Combe was one of the persons used to work for him. I remember being in school, and they had a big water truck heading all the time to class, got pumping water and pumping back. And Hazel was sending cases, with Statia on it to St. Martin and probably to other places. So we had things going on. The Burkos were always busy with plantations and farming. You had, for instance, the French used to come and buy livestock. Cows, goats, you name it, and a lot. They used to buy a lot. Yeah. I could remember back then we didn't have the machinery. So, again, your uncles and my father, children, so us and my siblings, we would go all in the cliffs to catch cows and goats and whatnot. We could laugh, but I can remember one time we caught enough cows that my father could have sent Miami and bring back a truck. Yeah. Things like that. Your father, if you talk with your father, he could tell you things that happen, and we had to lift the cows with hand. It was funny if you see us. We pulling them by tail and pulling them by head, and rope here, rope there. Sometimes you're on the truck, and when the cow eventually slide in the truck, you gotta run out the way, because so it was things that, but it made moments. Sometimes we don't want to go back. We have 2 or 3 cows throw in one truck, and today we might get locked up from Stinapa or from one of the animal rights people. But however, that was the way we had to move things, and we would do it. When they reached to the pier, then that boat, I think, would have a little crane and rest the cows on, and the sheep, you pass them by hand. But people had a way. Everybody knew that at night you bring in your animals, in the morning you take them out. A few people used to milk. If you know Delio's father, Pedro them father, that was my uncle. You had the grandfather for Vivian Simmons and all of them. Also my family, they had cattle, the Merkmans. Different people had their thing, and they would milk, or they would sell meat. And the Merkmans had, for instance, Mamai, the mother of Althea and Rufus Merkman. She had a Sabre connection, so she would get sweet potatoes and yams and things from Sable.
Yeah.
Whereas you had locally also grown. So yeah, we were pretty. You wouldn't find a lot of the stuff that you see today because we weren't. We didn't have the money, I believe, to import everything.
Yeah.
But people were eating and living, and we're happy. I mean, I don't like cow milk personally, so I won't go down that road. But there were a lot of other things. There was a drink they called Bob. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
Say it again.
Bob.
Okay. No.
So that was a drink that they would make from the cow milk.
Yeah.
But it was directly from the cow. It was nice though. I didn't like cow milk, but maybe what made it nice was there was some sugar, some nutmeg, some brandy, and then warm cow milk. So it would froth and it take away the scent that normally cow milk had that I didn't like. But then it come in a bit like a punch of creamer, kind of, eggnog kind of taste. So, and that was, I believe that was an original drink from Statia. And also to be able to milk a cow, there's a whole thing around that because the calf have to suck first to bring down the milk. You have to move the calf, wash the nipples, and then you start your whole process. So it was a whole process that today you wouldn't see. But these were things that, and that was a fun time. When there's Bob, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of drinking, and sometimes young fellas would have Bob and they would overdo it. But those were everything, like I said, from building to, even while you're doing you're taking care of your livestock and thing. It was, it was fun. Sam, the Jarvises, sometimes we have to carry the cows from Concordia or Fair Play, where the solar park is today. Sometimes the well in Concordia ain't working. We have to carry them to the well in Golden Rock. That's Hazel has it fencing now. He using that well. But then sometimes you're on your cow chain sliding, doing stupidness. So it's always something. Going to the cows over at what do you call over there? English Quarter. 6, 7 donkeys sometimes. Even friends would come over and we racing like we on the fastest. But that was the things, that was the way you would pass your time, and it was, I would say, it was clean fun. Of course we were boys and there were things that you shouldn't do that we would do, but that was the time. Those were the things that we did back then, and we sticking on point, sustainability. There was enough to come around. You wasn't hungry. Maybe you might have wanted something else, but you were never hungry. You had enough.
I have a question. Speaking to you, you're hearing a lot of stories about different persons, key persons are doing different stuff within the community, and that's kind of what we make the podcast for, so you could hear the stories of the different persons. But how do we get these stories to connect to the younger folks so they could kind of be a bridge too? Because a lot of them don't know unless they sit down with somebody of their grandma, father, or something like that. Like my father would tell me certain stories, but how do we get those stories to go get to the children?
I see worldwide. Even I was in St. Martin for the Christmas. I see that they doing a lot to preserve their cultural heritage. Jamaica, the same thing. You could pull up certain sayings, certain things that were said back then. They want to keep it relevant. They want to make sure that, hey, these things stay. This is us. This is our identity. I think a lot of us, when we left the island, we wanted to leave certain things behind. I ain't sure about who I am. You understand? And I believe things like this, bringing these things into your community and bringing them back. There was a lot of people on the island that helped to shape who I am, whether I'm good or bad. There were a lot of people on the island helped to give me ideas. I took what I needed or what I thought was good, and I dropped, and I used to talk with a lot of people. Your grandmother was one of my, Marlon Murray, Franklin Brown, Franklin Gibbs, all of these people I spent time with, in the community. Everybody had their own thing doing, but you learn, you listen, you learn, and you see, hey, what can you learn?
That was
here?
because you was eager to know about what all, in the community was going on.
Well, to say I was always very optimistic.
Yeah.
Most of the names that they gave me back then was, I was too inquisitive. I wanted to know what was going on, how it worked. And it was fun for me. Franklin is a technician. Franklin Gibbs also an electrician in his own right. Marlon Murray was is a carpenter. And other people, Alvin Quarter, I would spend long time sitting and talking with Alvin. And the thing is that everybody had a story, and it might not come in the way you would get it in a book from school. If you're smart, you understand that, hey, these people have a life before them. They did certain things, and they did it here.
Yeah.
One of the things that had me in school was that I couldn't relate to certain things. So yes, I agree with the Caribbean system of learning.
Yeah.
So because what's a geluidswand? If you didn't went to Holland, you would never know what geluidswand is, and they would have to explain you. And but if you put things here that, hey, they put trees that block the sound, similar, then you can relate.
Yeah.
So I think that things like these and really preserving, writing down certain things. Nad Gibbs, I don't know if that is his full name, but we call him Nad, the taller gentleman. Nad said, Charles, you need to start writing down your recipes, for the generations to come.
Exactly.
You have to do that. If people didn't show me, I would not know. You understand? And it's something that we need to really do to preserve our cultural heritage, because I see things here, I'm like, that's not our culture.
Yeah.
But then again, who really took note? Clifford Gibbs, Yado, I don't know if you ever heard the name called. Yado was a historian. Mega them grandfather, Daniel, was a historian. These guys, they knew a lot, they could tell you a lot about the history of Statia, and you would learn from them. They had tapes from Clifford. Yeah. Clifford knew Mr. Gibbs, Yado, as we would call him. He had experience, he had certain slave stories, he could tell. I think they have documented some of those. You can even find them online. And he talk about the cat of nine tails and this and that, how you get whipped, Stories like these, I think they had a lot of them on cassettes.
Yeah.
I see the cassettes.
Cassettes and things like that. I think a lot of them in the studio.
About the CDs.
They rot.
Exactly.
They
if you don't preserve them right, they're going to go.
So archiving, and really, I don't know how much more is left, but these guys were, great historians. The story they would tell, a lot of things we do away with. You listen to songs about, and we would make a firelight. We used to have nice bonfires here. Yeah. Today, you can't light a fire. No. A bonfire is a nice thing where you can sit, and really bond, have stories. That was something Boys Brigade did. That was something, groups did, and have a good time at the beach or somewhere safe, and you have your bonfire. But everything become a bit like, you can't do this no more, you can't do that no more. And for me, you continue to lose your identity in certain things, and here we're going to go down a little way. A lot of times we play, we're Dutch. Yeah. But certain things you can't do in Holland, but you could do here. So the things that you should do here, that's what make you special. Yeah. So when we take over a whole plan from a fire department that is strictly based on a European or a Dutch model, then we're losing ourselves. So, like you say, you want to keep these stories alive. We need to understand why certain things were done. People used to burn their grounds here to get, to bring back the soil to where it's supposed to be. If you go sink it, after they reap their harvest, they burn the ground. Ah, okay. They light fires and then they reset the ground again for the next harvest. we could burn our grounds here. No. So again, there are certain things that happen. We need to be able to make our case for the things and the reasons why. But we like, oh yes, it come from higher up, so we gotta do it. So we continue to lose who we are, and we don't know why. So I'm always the type, I'm not gonna just join something because everybody say, you know, let's do it. And then in the end, we doing something, it becomes a tradition, a culture. And then we don't know no more where maybe it's somewhere from something from India, maybe it's something from Africa, maybe it's something from, but you don't know the origin. So for me, there are certain things that I believe that we should have maintained. Your grandfather, Hamchi used to make a wicked bread pudding. You understand? Hamchi always, I understood before my time because Hamchi was making local ice cream and things like that. Where are these recipes? Who are the ones that, you know, could have kept them going on? We import, but how was these things made? There's no proper documentation. Why? Because we are always looking out for to lead. While we have a lot of what we need right here. But we continuously looking out, and you know, it's till today. Even in my political life, I even dealing with certain things. I'm like, no, you explaining something that don't work here. So, for our people to understand, we need to have people like you, who are young and have the energy and, you know, the ambition to say, hey, let's document this. Let's talk to those still that are around. I mean, I'm much younger than some of them still. Much agrees. But anyway, we still know some things and documented why was this done? Why was, you know, why do you did this? Why do you do that? Because there's a lot of things had we have this information from those that went before us, a lot of mistakes that we made on Statia wouldn't have happened. But we have this way where, Holland says so, or this one says so. And I believe that if our children need to see themselves or need to see this place and as a place where they can live, they have to bear in mind the reality of our demographics. We are in a Caribbean place. We're in a place with other islands around us. And how we interact with them. We had a very close bond with St. Kitts when we were growing up. Things would come over from St. Kitts. You know, like today, we still have a close bond, but it was even more. Even our families, you know, we had connections from St. Kitts. St. Kitts is our playground. But because of, you know, immigration and certain laws that are put in place, but how do we say something, or you say, hey, you know, this is part of us. This is part of our culture. Is these islands, you know, interact. We deal with each other.
How many families are close to the island?
Exactly.
Nearby.
But we never did it because again we say, hey, that's an immigration law. So, but in Holland, you have an opportunity to debate your laws. We don't debate them, and if we do get them to debate, we get a whole heap of pages of Dutch or something that you don't understand. We don't really debate it. And then it come into law, we say, but it's law.
So before you go ahead, I want to take you back to the childhood. You know, you talk about, you know, families. I know the Woodley family is one of the biggest families on Statia. What is one thing you find was special then that you would have liked that was continued? It can be family related and also community.
Let me give you an example. Back in the days, basketball was a big thing. Carnival had to wait until basketball shut down for Carnival to start. One of the things is that as families, as young people, July, everybody coming home. Christmas, some come home, but July, everybody coming home. When basketball done, you have people leaving here from the center, and you probably would have people walking till over by the screw hats, and people still come around the corner. Everybody was walking interacting,
Yeah.
having conversations with your little boyfriend, your little girlfriend, but you were having, today everybody have cars.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, so that kind of socializing gone. Everybody, the basketball, they will play it with the fingers behind the TV.
Yeah.
So a lot of that physical contact gone. We used to have, July, we used to have family, friends come in here from Antigua, from St. Martin, from Statia was like the playground. Every year when the people have the vacation, you send them Statia because the children safe. So you have your house full. We slept in Dolly house because some of the rooms were so full. We just put a mattress in our little Dolly house and we sleep in the Dolly house because we had friends over. One of my good friends who would have experienced something like that is Dr. Drew, the Prime Minister Drew. I met him when we were 10 years old, and he stayed by us because they wanted him to stay with families, and we maintained that friendship throughout the years. Today we're still friends. I mean, he has a very busy job. He still has his number, and when he got time, we speak, and when we don't, well, we know that it is there.
Exactly.
But those are friendships and bonds. He was here as a young boy from 10 years old. He met a lot of people. He interacted with different people, Julian, Clyde, different of them. Me and him, when we were back in he was like, what are you proud about? Those times we used to have a lot of what you call man of war, the battleships. So I was proud of the Dutch battleship. And he was like, well, we're proud about it for 10 years. But I couldn't understand because he's coming from a independent, nation. And so a lot of those things, as I grew, I understand, okay, this is why he was saying certain things, but big confusion. I was like, oh yeah, because Sinke don't got it. He said, but I don't belong to Statia, which was a reality. But those interactions, the basketball, the boys brigade. One of the things I used to have serious issues with my mother with is that the church used to put everything on the days when Carnival, and, Carnival would be passing. My mother, no, you gotta stay here. So most children, or most of the young people would be outside, and we have to stay in the church till when the minister and the people decide to finish whatever they're doing, so things like that. And my father was strict. Back in those days there were certain things. I try him a lot, but I pay the consequences. But it wasn't a lot of things that would happen today. Couldn't happen, and you just know what you had to do, how you had to think yourself. But the July for sure, even the Easter, Easter time come around. Now it's commercialized. Like I tell you, like I said earlier, Easter was the time you go to anybody hot tent and you taste what they have, they taste what you have, you go around. And Christmas was the same thing. And it was always more community, more social. And those are things as a family. We used to have a lot of family coming from the States, coming from Sinkits, coming from different places for these festive occasions. And it always was a nice time. Those things, well, I guess based on plane tickets, prices, and all of that back then. Everything, you realize things would change based on the money, based on the increase of, or the necessity for money. Back then, you could have fly to St. Martin maybe for $50, $70 And, I was a student in St. Martin and then further to Curacao. And back then, I could have get a student ticket from St. Martin, I think, for like $50 or something like that. So, if you're lucky if you get it for $250. So exactly. Not even guilders, you're talking dollars. So things like that made it easy for us to, interact and families would come together. Another thing is that a lot of, if you want your family, come here now. Sometimes families would come and work and do different things. Yes, again, immigration and this and that. So a lot of the things that are in place now, we have, I don't know if we accepted them, or they were thrown on us. There's another conversation, but it divided us a lot. It separated us in a way from our families, from our friends, from our sister islands.
Yeah.
But family was always a big thing in the islands. I know one of the biggest families, I think the Burkles and the Spanners had us. The Spanners, when we were growing up, used to all live basically in union. So they had their own basketball team, their own softball team, their own.
Wow.
We were Woodleys in the country, Woodleys in the town, and but the Spanners were more concentrated, more in Union Estate. So if you go over there, you get in trouble. You know, a lot of trouble. But there was Arnold's was also a very big family. Yeah. So you had the Arnolds, the Spanners, Burkles, Woodleys. Those were some of the bigger families here on the island.
Where did the love for kitchen come from?
My mother.
Where's that?
Well, generations. I think my grandmother, I didn't know them because, I come from a big family. My mother, my grandparents, I never knew my grandparents from either side. But my mother...
Are you the youngest?
No, one before the last.
Okay.
So from my father's number 17.
You're busy.
And from the mother, number
15.
So, but my mother and her mother, her mother was a cook and a baker too. And family generations come down. When I know, Junie Granda sent some stuff for me, and I'm learning more about my family and my ancestors. And one of the things, my mother was always busy. My mother would get up. I think I never know when she used to sleep. Just a little sleep. She get up. My father the same way. But she had a lot of children, grandchildren. Everybody was there. But for me to spend time with my mother, I used to get up in the mornings while she was making bread or making.
So you prefer to be in the kitchen rather than being outside with them?
Yeah, grass used to be wet early in the morning. Things like that. You go behind goats. My father gave me a sheep once. I didn't want the sheep. Yeah. Because I know in the morning, you got Jew in the grass and all kind of things. I didn't want the sheep. But he wanted me to have the sheep because he wanted me to learn responsibility of taking care of the animal. And I put the sheep on the smallest little pond which I could find. And when I was coming home in the bus, I know it would be gone. So by the time I reached on the road, it was gone. So my father said, go look for it. I went to the corner of Fair Play. I sat down. I said, wherever you is, go. However, let's say my brother took care of his sheep, Bob. Bob had like 8 or 9 sheep. When Bob ready to go St. Martin, he could sell 2 sheep, 3 sheep. He could buy his skets, he could buy his jeans, he could buy everything. I had to go work for my money to get my stuff. So the sheep they increase fast, but it wasn't my thing. I didn't like it, And one of the reasons why in the mornings, like I say, the wet grass, the foolishness, the tangling up, and you have to go take it out from. I didn't like that. But I liked spending time with my mother, and my mother, she did a lot. My father used to work a lot also, so I like spending time with her, and a lot of things I didn't learn by the book. I just watched what she was doing, and I could remember once she had pain in her shoulder, and I said, "Let me knead the bread." She was like, "Go for me." And then she realized I could do it, and then the next time she wasn't feeling well, I made coconut drops, and then they were like, "Oh, you put up." That couldn't happen again in this. It just came naturally, and then you know what flavors she would use. There are a lot of things that my mother did. I believe older folks would do. For instance, orange peeling and all of that. They would put it to dry in the oven. I don't know if you know about that. And then they pong it, in the mortar. You know about the mortar and the pestle. You would know the mortar and the pestle. You don't know? Oh my God.
That I know for sure.
But I know about the orange peeling. I tried it out. That part,
And the seasoning also. My mother would she would take the different herbs and put them together. Not too much of seasonal and things like that. So more herbs. Then she would keep them in her bottle. So if you ever try to use that seasoning without the
Oh, you
correct-
mean like pung in the season together?
you
Oh,
put it-
yes. Yeah, that I know.
And with a mortar.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So okay, things like that, the different herbs and the different bush that you would use and all of that. I think what she would have been, boy, Ned would have been what, your great grandmother,
Yeah.
Sarah Ned. She was she knew all the bush, and Jamal. No, he follow up in that. But those people, Marvin Burkle, Cap. You maybe hear about it.
Cap for sure. Yeah.
These fellas knew bush. They know what. So a lot of those things were things that we were our own pharmacy.
Yeah.
We were our own economic force. We knew how to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And people wasn't falling down. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Of course, here and there people would die, but
Yeah.
you wasn't having a lot of the issues, the cancers and the this and that. But we were handling ourselves. But when you start to bring in and import, you're importing whatever they put
Exactly.
in their stuff. So the love for cooking came mainly from my mother and kind of wanting to eat what I want to eat. Because next thing is sometimes there's food where you don't want to eat, and then it's like, okay, cook your own food.
Yeah.
And I started young because I didn't like certain things. I thought I didn't like them. For instance, I wasn't eating peas and rice until I went GVP.
Yeah.
Then I come home. I got home late, first time 2:10, and I was real hungry. My mother said, well, I ain't finished with the plain rice yet. So she said, well, you could pick out the peas. I ain't had no time to pick out the peas. So after that, she was like, okay, you could eat it, you know. So again, a lot of things that we made is because of privileges.
Yeah.
But here and there, you learn things based on your environment. And it's good when you have a good environment. And for me, I don't care what nobody says, Statia was a good environment for me. So I will always be proud that I was born on the rock. And I'm always proud of the people on the rock. And nobody can tell me about the people on the rock because I took my time out to spend time with them. And maybe not as much as I could have or would have, but I took time out to spend time with my people. So I am a proud Statia man.
Wonderful.
I see we touch on politics a little bit, but I wanted to know how you even get into politics. Where that even coming from? Because you say it was mostly in the kitchen cooking. So where the politics love come from?
Curiosity. I like to see things work, and I like to see how things can work. I think if we had better coaches when I was growing up, they would have knew where I had to go. Because I was very strong in languages. I was very strong in things like debates and all of that. I could debate anybody. I could do. But I didn't like maths. So based on your structure of education, if you ain't good in maths, you can't fit in certain places. I still don't like maths. One of the things with maths is that I could come to the answer without going through the formula. But they want you to go through the formula. And that wasn't making sense to me, but it makes sense for the mathematician. And I try to understand things. And then when you understand things and you want fairness, you try to understand, hey, if you do this, this should be the reaction. If you do that, that should be the reaction. And in life, I try to be fair. And my father was one of those persons that, hey, if you're wrong, he's going to let you know you're wrong. And he's going to enforce it in whichever way necessary to make sure you know you're wrong. So balance, again, we had a clear example of good and right and wrong. No, that don't make us perfect children, but I think Boys Brigade helped that. The church helped that. Your communities, that you know, the interactions, it helped you to form right and wrong. So as you grow up, certain things you're like, no, this is right, this is wrong. However, we had a culture too. This is one of the little ugly things in Statia where even if you're right, they never want you to, you're a child. That never used to work so well for me. Because if I feel that it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're older than me or but this is what happened. But let me tell you my side of the story. Grown-ups are lie too. So I got in a lot of trouble because I was like, no, okay, he telling the story, but tell the whole story. Having that, where you always have a feeling for right and wrong. I went to school with Sherman and some of the others, they would tell you, I always would have that activist thing in me where if it's right, I'm with it. If it's wrong, I don't care. So those type of things lead you to politics. I don't think I really like politics as much as I like being an activist.
Okay.
And
because you're outspoken. Yeah. When growing up, you was always outspoken. Yeah. It was always in your nature. It's not that something triggered you to be more.
I can remember someone met me on the airport once. They said we were asking, "What's wrong with you? Why you like this?" So they asked my mother. I wasn't there. I said,
"What's wrong with you?"
My mother told them, "Hey, from in my room, I know that one was different." Yeah. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I at one point I thought something was really wrong with me because they used to say, why you always want to be different?
Yeah.
Because again, 20 people could be going this way, and if I think they're in the right way, I'm gonna be the one to say, no, I ain't going.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why you think you're better? Are you different? Are you special? It caused me a lot of blows. Yeah. Even in school, they're like, yeah, you always want to feel like, but if I can't see it. And so that caused me a lot of problems in life. Yeah. At one point, I used to cry. I used to say, well, I want to be like everybody else. Yeah. However, when it reached down to that point where you have to make a decision and just do something, I want to question why. I want to know why. I thought I instill those things in my daughters also. Ask why. Why not? Why? And if you can understand it, if you could live with it, then you take the decision. Don't let nobody beat you up for telling you why not. And same thing with me. Once you do it respectful.
Yeah.
However, because of the pressure that, when I was growing up that I had, where, it was culture that you don't really question grown-ups.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
was like I had to become more aggressive to get my point across. In the end, I used to get beat up, mashed up and whatnot. But I used to tell them, don't worry, you're going to grow up. And if you was 6+ feet, so I grew up. But when I was small, I used to get knocked about.
Truly activist.
You get knocked about, but God allowed me to get strong.
Yeah.
And one of these days I get old, maybe then somebody knock me out. For now. So that it ain't easy. Or being trying to be activist or being an activist, especially on a small line. However, it wasn't just me, there were some others. And because of that we realized certain things are done different. It's good. I also learned that not because you're right mean that anybody cares. I mean, it matters to you. And that's why, again, I see certain things and I might not say anything because I reach to a place, hey, I respect people's opinion. However, respect mine also. So don't try to force mine on you. If you come and you ask me why, and you want an honest response, then I will tell you. If you don't want an honest response, leave me alone. Yeah. Because we ain't going to argue about why you believe it so or why not. Yeah. So those are things coming out. Every battle and every case that you go through, every experience helped to shape you. And I ain't come up like a perfect Mr. This and Mr. That. Yeah. You went through the rough things and you go through and you
that has formed you in the end.
You live. The thing is, if you don't learn, eventually you get mashed up.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and even those, my critics, the strongest critics and the people that I don't like the most, I still always want to know what they're saying about me. Because it's very important for me to know what they're thinking, so I could check myself, because I don't want to be weak in those areas. So as much as you think, oh, Charles don't like that person, this and that, no, I'm paying attention to what he's saying. Is the one who telling me that he with me and pretending, that's the one that I wouldn't want to really deal with at all, because I can't do fake. So if you're fake and you're pretending with me, I can't really. It just that don't work.
Because then you have a clear understanding of what that person exactly don't like about.
I prefer say, Charles, I don't like this about you. I don't like that. And next thing, if you tell me, Charles, don't do this, I don't like it, you establish your boundaries. I would do my best not to, cross your boundaries. But then you respect mine also. So it's for always that mutual respect.
So you would say the community, when it comes to someone being different,
it's rough. Statia's a rough place if you want to be different. However, you just got to rough it through. Everybody ain't me. But Statia's a rough place to be, because everybody got opinion. You're a tight community. And being different, like I say, with time, people just accept the fact that, hey, this is just who he is, or this is just who you are. But it's not easy. I think having certain conversations like these, talk shows, I could remember in the past, I'm going to say something now, maybe when somebody hear about it, but I could remember Cathy had a program called Public Opinion. I love the program, Public Opinion. It ended up in a whole problem with me and my family, because they were like, oh, Cathy said something that they didn't like. So all of a sudden, they wanted shut down. So I said, what? You're really checking out the name of the program?
Public's opinion.
Public opinion. So you are part of the public. Voice your opinion, but I don't mean somebody. But it ended up a whole war. I don't want to go into detail, but it was funny till now, because the name of the program is Public Opinion. And I always used to tell people, even in my program, you don't like it, flip the switch. They ain't got nobody sitting down with your whip over you telling you, you must do this or you must do that. So you have choice.
Exactly.
You have choice. And someone's opinion, my opinion of you, does not define you, right? But if somebody have an opinion about me, I want to know if they're correct. Then again, based on who it is, because some people just need to have an opinion, even if you think. So I was like, okay, if it's that person, but if you say, man, Charles, so, you could have done this, but I might ask you, well, how you see this way, and have the conversation, and that is, you grow. You understand? But some people just want to have an opinion. Sometimes it don't make sense. They just want to have something to say, and then you got to weigh those out also. But I grew through adversity. I had it from a child, and I passed through it, through politics, through the union, through this, through that. And certain things that I did, I don't want to do them no more. I learned from shop stewards, from people. I learned from people in every area, every walk of life. And it's important. Don't underestimate nobody based on the job that they do, because everybody have their own experiences, and everybody could help you somewhere or the other with something, because none of us all knowing. And with that in mind, every time I pick up certain things today, I remember when I went to Holland, I figure I got a little diploma for electricity, I got a little diploma for carpentry, I should be okay. I went to a urgent bureau, but they sent me to sweep floors. I come in Holland to sweep floor. I said, no. I call my wife then. I say, hey, I coming home. She said, Charles, you just reach Holland. You got a job in a week and change, man. Do the little job. But in doing that job, I learned the names of certain tools that I didn't know in Dutch. I learned a lot of things that had I gone directly into carpentry, or into electricity, I'd have been lost, and it would have looked then as if I never knew nothing because the names and the words that you would hear up there, you'd never heard them down here.
Yeah.
So sometimes you feel, hey, I study and I want to go straight into a job. But sometimes if the path lead you down, don't force. Don't force. Take whatever it brings along with it. And I could remember I worked maybe a year and a half or 2 years for the Earth Bureau. After that, I worked for a company that paid me maybe 250% of what I was making by the Earth Bureau. And 2 years after that, I went work for myself. It was a different animal again. But it started by me humbling myself, because even though I figure I knew a little bit of something, I didn't know enough. But sometimes we feel we come out of school, we got paper. No. So some, they can do it. Some, it depends. But if you don't end up in that space where you just flow into your job, don't worry. Keep in your mind what you want to do. A lot of things, I think I was ADHD, because I can't sit down. I like doing a lot. But now, it bear on me. It catch up with you, because with age, you realize that, hey, you can't be doing all this craziness no more. Because my time for writing and going behind the computers after work.
Yeah.
After work in construction, after the girls go sleep, then I go on the computer and I stay up. I always tell people I don't need much sleep. Till today, I could do, if I get 3-4 hours sleep, if I get 5, that's good. If I get 3 or 4, I'm good.
So that's a regular day for you?
That's a regular day for me.
Wow.
But we have from small, my parents got up early. I used to cuss then. But it's like they put a built-in alarm clock in all of them. Because now my brothers would be like, better up, I know most of them up. I could add Bernadine, I could call Bob, because they
so
up at it in us. I could wake up without I don't like alarm clocks. I don't like alarm clocks. If I set to my mind I need to get up for 4 o'clock, most of the times 5 to 4, I'm gonna open my eyes and I can remember.
That's a natural instinct there.
Yeah. My partner, once she was laying down next to me, just timing to see when I gonna wake up. She's like, no man. This ain't
automatic.
Because I find alarm clocks aggressive. And I find if you put something in your mind, even though you're sleeping, you subconsciously you know, well, hey, I have to get up. So things like that, your parents were training you, you didn't like it, but it stayed in me.
Exactly.
It stayed in me.
You briefly spoke about when you went to Holland, like you started from the ground up. That was inspiring what you say, because I know many persons who go away, they might study something and then might not be, they might say, hey, I work more than this. But it's like, okay, you have to, be mindful to work from the ground up, but just keep in mind. That's really good advice. Thank you for sharing that. But I wanted to know where construction came in. So you briefly touch on that.
Okay, I did construction here by 14. I was good in it. But then construction was like what you had. You're either construction or your Marvel. That was Marvel or your Ladfo.
Yeah.
That was it here. Marvel construction. After y'all, you had to go away.
Yeah.
When I went to St. Martin, I was like, everybody doing construction here. Let me go do electro. I love physics, but I hate mathematics. Those two go together.
Yeah.
So in electro, they was like, how come you got 8 or 9 for physics, but you got 4 for mathematics? But physics, we were allowed to play around with the stuff, and that's more, hands-on. It's more real.
Yeah.
Mathematics for me, if I could get to the answer, why would you want me go all through this? That again, that was an issue for me. So when I left here and I went to St. Martin, I said, everybody else doing carpentry. I was doing carpentry already. Let me go do electro. Yeah. But electro ain't so easy if you don't go to maths. So, so it was, I passed it in St. Martin and I went on to Curacao. But I was like, just learn whatever you could learn.
Yeah.
While I was in Curacao, I started to do side jobs. I had a side job that actually nearly became a permanent job. And at one point I tell the hey, me come Curacao for this now. Because I hear got guys, 18 guys, so-called employees. You ain't have no insurance for them. Oh. You ain't paying no taxes for them. But you feel like you're making some money, but if one of them get hurt, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
If the ballasting needs come for you, you're in trouble. I didn't come Curacao for this. And this was supposed to be some extra change. I done with this. They were like, yeah, but you can't walk away from all this money, because they had other guys that stay and say, listen, I didn't come here for this. I started to go avant MTS thinking that I would work in the day and go to school in the night. I don't work out so good. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
You understand? I ain't disciplined enough.
Yeah.
Number one, I work a lot in the day. And then in the night, I still had other extracurricular activities want to happen. And then, so I had to make a choice as to what. But one thing I know, based on where I grew up, again, the resources from Statia, the different angles, or the different people who are passed through, I know that I had a little bit of knowledge for telephones, electricity, carpentry. Clyde was one of the person that I passed through, Franklin Brown, like I tell you, all of them. So in every area, I took some things, and they could leave me and say, hey, do this and do that. So I know that I could always move and use my hands, use my skills, and then I learned to write letters. I learned to put things together, grammar. I love grammar, and I learned to put things together. And with time, I try more and more to put it in a way that, it less aggressive, less offensive. Because I was brute, rough and thing. But carpentry, I love carpentry. Yeah. It's a hobby. I like, and it allows me to free my mind. Yeah. Okay. Because when I doing things, I don't have to. I could just be in it, doing my thing, and I could meditate and do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was something. In Holland, I got messed up from it bad because of the inside soil. It's winter and you're inside, and then if you wear the mask, your glass get foggy. If you don't wear the mask, so that caused me sinus issues, even close to asthmatic. But I still like it. Yeah. I don't do it no more because the restaurant. But when I was younger, I had time for everything. Yeah.
Now
Yeah. But I love it. And I love nice things. So if you like nice things, you gotta make sure that you learn how to do or put nice things together. So. Yeah, that was where carpentry.
Really nice, because he
I could see
on that.
Because now I recently started doing like carpentry, different things. So just like how you say it, as make it allow you to free your mind and stuff like that. Same way I just feel with it.
And just pay attention to your machines, eh?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Don't have people talk. I know life is thing when you're in there with the machines, because you don't want to lose nothing. No. You don't want the machines there, but it's a form of freeing your mind. Just like the walks I used to take. Sometimes I used to walk a lot. This is the most difficult. I love cooking. Yeah. Even before I started doing this, I love cooking. I know that I could cook. But cooking is a rough sport. So when you see people cooking, give them a lot of, when you see them, the foot gets swollen, you on your feet all the time. It's more difficult than construction. Yeah. I would have never known that because I was just a hobby cook. Yeah. But then after, and I was still, even when I started doing the kitchen, I would go and do jobs. And one of the employees said, yeah, but you need to stick in your kitchen, which is true, because you need to know certain things are happening there until you reach that place where. So I had to stop doing my jobs. Now, my jobs were supposed to sustain me. My recipes was hobby, sharing it with the people that they get the things what they like. Yeah. And then if the employees learn it, they feed the people. Yeah. It wasn't my intention to go into the kitchen and do it every day. But when I went there, I realized if I'm not there, certain things, but that ain't good either. In Holland, I learned some things. It's called inspiring leadership. And I could remember I had a youth group, and I had the most members. And the coach said to me, how much leaders you have? I said, well, they didn't want to lead, but they want to come to the group. I said, I got a lot more members than all the rest. He said, yeah, but you're in inspiring leadership.
Oh.
That messed with me.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, yeah, but I suppose I look like the most successful group here. I got the biggest youth group and all of that, but I really don't have leaders. Everybody depending
On you.
on me.
Yeah.
So no, that was another lesson. It wasn't a nice one to swallow, but because it was coming from that coach, I was like all the way driving home, like, boy, I ain't inspiring leadership.
That's
You know, so now you have to see how.
Yeah.
You understand? When I people come to work for me, there's a lot that we said. I'm fussy because I know how things supposed to be, and if I can't do it the way it's supposed to be, I don't want to do it. So if you come to work for me, I'm going to tell you how it should be done. But if you have an idea of your own and you want to, give them that space also. If you tell me, hey, I am good in this dish, I want to prepare this is my dish, I don't even want to take your dish from you.
Yeah.
If you tell me get the ingredients, or you want me to give you
That's
the money to
nice.
get your ingredients, you get your ingredients, because I don't want to be on people micromanaging. I believe everybody, like I say, have something in them to give.
Yeah.
And once you bring everything together, I like building good teams. I like building strong teams. I like knowing that, hey, maybe that fella is a 3-point player, but he got a good rebounder. So I want to have the right people in the right space at all times. So I don't look at people as insignificant. I look at where this person fit. And if we do that within our communities, and a lot of times people, no, I say, no, leave that fella there. You leave him here in the future, I know what I'm going to use him for. And those are things I learned through, again, different walks of life. Listen, you can't do everything. Learn to delegate. Learn to put certain people in certain places and give them what they need. They have certain things that happen on the island. I know that when I was there as in politics also, that was something, hey, what does person need to make them successful? Now, if I give you what you need to be successful and you ain't doing it, then we got to, maybe you're not the right place. Because if you tell me this is what you need, let us get you what you need. So because I want you to be successful. I am a proponent of stations in positions. Because when I grew up, it wasn't so much of us in positions. You understand? And I had a problem with that. I want to see people that look like me. I want my children to aspire. I want them to say, hey, I want to be like you. I want to be like you, this one. I don't want them looking at people like, oh, we can't do this job because our people don't do this job. So things like that, carpentries, politics, whatever I do, I want to get a right mix. I want to make sure that I have the right people around me to get it done. And no matter what you think about me or how you feel about me, I know where to look for who I need. So, So and that, I have a good network. I have good friends, and it don't have to be a lot of friends. It have to be the right friends.
I love that.
And you need to know who are the people that you can count on, and who are the people. Make sure that you pass that back to the people. That and once you have that, hey, they know that I could call on Charles. Charles know I could call on this one. That's important. You have your children. I have my children. I know that I could trust my children here. I could trust this there. Don't make sure that your things tight. You have clear agreements. And with the union, that's basically what we try to do.
I was just going to ask about the but you forced me, so you can go ahead.
So basically what we try to do, when I came back to Statia, a lot of people were getting sent home from different places, terminal, different places. Now, You get sent home. Yeah, they tell me don't come back. But you ask a question, no, because the boss tell me don't come back. Okay. But I don't do that.
You gonna ask why?
Yeah, why? Give me a letter, tell me why.
Yeah.
So I could see if I could answer this letter and say, hey, but this and that ain't happened. They had this thing they used to call back then administrative leave. They send you home and people are like, yeah, but they pay me still. I'm like, no. Find out why they send you home.
Yeah.
So after being back, I was getting frustrated. I like, oh, I don't ask questions. Yeah, but things ain't like Holland. I'm like, but why not?
Yeah.
I said, if you're saying we in Holland, then we should have certain things in place that you could ask a question. Christy, that time, I don't know if any of you remember Christy from the Sun there. She had a son. She used to live right there by the police station. Okay, she died in 2016. It's a Dutch lady. And after she got to know me, I used to be on the radio from early morning. I used to be in the night. Then I was on Franklin program also, You Talk. But sometimes I would let my mouth and say things that really you could get in problems. So, so she like, hey, I like your energy, but I need to keep you in check because we need to make sure that every time you speak, you have the correct information and you have the legal. And she gave me a crash course, and she was not a lawyer. She studied, business economics.
Yeah.
But she had a strong feel for the law. She wanted to become a lawyer, but she had to leave the island to become, they don't do correspondence studies for law. Yeah. So she had an issue there, but now she was making sure that, hey, what are you talking about today? So let's read upon it. She taught me about case law. She taught me about jurisprudence. She taught me about, how to find certain things, how to look at the law. Simple explanation she gave me. Say, hey, the law works both ways. Just like how the thief or the everybody have a side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So depends on who if you're the one is the criminal in this point, or if you're the one defending yourself. Yeah. At the end of the day, both sides. The law works both ways. Yeah. She always says it both ways, Charlie. And through that, she would show me, hey, this and that. She showed me how to research if I need to find certain things. And that helped me a lot, where especially when I get up early, those are the times when I strengthen in myself for the day. Yeah. So when I go in and I say something, it may sound crazy, and I could leave you there thinking I'm crazy or thinking I'm stupid. But at the end of the day, you substantiate. You know what you're saying, you know why you're saying it, and that makes you credible. People don't like me. We say, oh, he's talking this, he's talking that, but you can't come up and say he's lying. Yeah. And I always try to say, hey, even in the union, if you lie to me, I'm done with you. Mm-hmm. You're on your own, because my credibility is very important. Yeah. Of course, there are things in life that you do that ain't good or wasn't good, but there have certain things people look towards me, and as a soundboard, hey, I go say, even if I like you or don't like you, I'm going to tell you, yeah, you're right or you are wrong. Mm-hmm. And those are things we don't have to lie about it. With the union, coming back to that, trying to get people stand up for the rights, we end up going to courts a lot of times. Winning cases, till the lawyers tell the judge, stop them. They don't have no legal position coming here. Yeah. Because now we was doing more research than the lawyers. So when we go, we send in all this information and looking for case law and looking for, this is how it was done back for this case and for that case. And so the judge. Is
the union you as a person, or is it
Christy
more?
And myself.
Okay.
Christy was, according to her, she was the good cop and I was the bad cop. She was more, she more diplomatic. Everybody that know me know Ice Force. Yeah. And I was like, listen, I had enough of this. We know what we want. We know what we're saying. This is what we got. We're going through. Let's push it. Yeah. So, however, I would always allow her the opportunity to run it through with you from the book. Yeah. And if you reach a point where you're saying, well, hey, I ain't going to comply, then we just push through. Yeah. And one of the things, one of the major accomplishments was with New Star at that time, because New Star had been using behavior or policies that in America they probably okay, because in America, you know, you have the right to fire.
Yeah.
You have the right to fire, you can go find out if you're right. However, in our system, it is that you have hoard and wait or hoard, they call it. So you make a complaint, I have the opportunity to rebuttal and say no, but this ain't what happened. And that goes along 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So knowing this now, people never used to use this. But if your boss say, hey, you did so and so, you have the right to say no, I didn't do so and so, and this is what happened. And I go back and forth. That don't mean that you win a case.
It's more of a dialogue.
Yeah. Usually, if everybody honest, nobody gets fired in the end.
Yeah.
And that's what we push for. With New Star back then, they had been here since the 80s before we were behaving in a certain way, before we were here. And they told us straight up, hey, we've been doing it so for 20, 30 years. We ain't changing our ways. You know, you won't change your ways. That was a back and forth. They put a big gate because they were planning to, and if people walk out, to lock them out. All of this was, I found out after that these things are, if you walk out, they can lock you out. They put things in place preparing for us to strike. However, what they didn't put in place was that one of the members told us, hey, New Star is a part of the Fortune 500. And you know the Fortune 500, once you're in there, you're in an elite group.
Yeah.
But if you get we would say a bad review, they're going to scrutinize you, and if they find out that it's true, they're going to throw you out. You know, so when we send the information on based on what they were doing with us here in Statia to the Fortune 500, they call them up and say, hey, I don't know what's going on with y'all, but you better settle it. And then we had a letter came to us from San Antonio, from the CEO saying, hey, don't send no more letters, don't talk to the media, we send in someone to you. Yeah. And that was a change. Now, I think that since then, things smoothen out, become more civil, more respectful between employer and employee at the terminal. But you have a lot of companies here on the island that go below the radar, even local companies that still don't treat the employees fair or correct, right? There are certain things, you know, that people should know. If you come home and you're executing a job, you come in, you start a job as a beginner, your salary shouldn't be as a beginner state next 10, 15 years, next 3, 4 years, you know, I'll grow.
Yeah.
You understand? Of course, there's a ceiling, because if I'm a carpenter and all I'm doing is carpentry, at a certain point, how much you want to make as a carpenter?
Yeah.
Unless you choose to go work for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're accountant or whatever, you're working for a company, even so, you're working for a firm, they're going to tell you, well, hey, this is how much we start, here's where you reach once you reach your ceiling. Yeah. But you should be able to reach that ceiling once you're executing your job properly and you're having proper evaluation. These are things that don't really happen here on the island so much, so we're trying to introduce them. So this is a constant back and forth. Yeah. It became much easier after New Star, because then people start to realize that you're serious. Yeah. However, they still got a lot of vicious fight, because there are a lot of dinosaurs on Statia still walking around. Now, when I say dinosaurs, I still believe that we should keep the balance where you have the mixture. However, there are some people that want to do things in a way that it ain't fitting, it ain't right, it ain't even lawful. But hey, we've been doing it. So when you can't move, you can't change your views, then I think it's time for you to move. Yeah. Because that's somebody who can't grow. because you close your mind to learning or to hearing anything. And we have a few of those. We have companies here, unfortunately, that they close their minds to change because they think that, hey, I have the right, that I could do this and I could do that. Everybody have rights. Your employees have rights. You have rights as an employer. I don't want to take your rights from you, but let's have agreement as to how we're going to deal with each other, how we're going to talk with each other and things like that. So these are the things that they're still important to me. However, I'm starting to feel like, sometimes you outgrow your usefulness. And no matter what you do, I mean, Jesus walked through every place carrying out, miracles. And when he reached to your own hometown, they say, but you ain't Joseph's son, you ain't this son, so at us, and I ain't putting myself in the shoes of Jesus, but in your own home after a while, anywhere you go, you outgrow your usefulness, and I have no problem with that. Because I'm ready for the next person to come and take over. Someone that I'm working with right now is very promising, a young lady that came back home. First she told me she don't want nothing to take over the union if I go. She's leaving. However, the other day she was like, you know what? Based on what I studied, now I'm having more interest for HR. Because you realize that it ain't about fighting. It's about us creating policies that we work in a certain level. That you're mature, you're more, how you would say, you're in behaving like, hostile towards your employees, and your employees in behaving hostile towards you, because we have a code of ethics, we have a way in which we relate to each other. And even in your home, if you have certain things, you tell each other, hey, this is how we're going to deal with it. So that every time that don't become a problem when you have to deal with it, you set the code of ethics. So this is what we try to establish with All for One. Whenever that time presents itself for me to go, I'm gone. I don't have no problem with transitioning from spaces because, I think I've been blessed. And that blessing comes from God and from growing up on this blessed rock, because I was allowed to spend time and rub shoulders with a lot of professionals on Statia. And as much as people say, oh yes, people backward here and this and that, they're backward if you're looking in the wrong directions. I ain't gonna say we're perfect people, but everybody has their input and their role to play. And because of tapping into those different areas and looking, hey, this fella useful over here, what I could learn from him, or what we could do with him to help us, it helped me. And I ain't gonna reach that place where people say, look at he used. No. I gonna make sure that when it's time to go, I go on.
What sets you? Sorry for cutting you off. What sets you apart from the labor office and All for One?
The labor office, a union can push right up against the law, because usually unions breaks. Usually we don't have money. However, we have statutes that we have to adhere to. But we can do certain things. We can press you in certain ways, media and whatnot, because what we're trying to do is to bring fairness in a work sphere. Now, usually what you have, and what you would have in America, for instance, is that employer, your boss could say to you, hey, in America, pack your stuff and go. We don't know how it come about, but that's how things done here. When we started here, people were doing the same thing here. Hey, you're fired, go home. People would just pick up themselves and leave.
That you don't call it upstaande voet?
Yeah, but what is upstaande voet? What is and that's a good example. What is a case that is fit for immediate dismissal, right? So all of these things now I explain to the members. We want to do, I hope that, because this year we're making 10 years, All for One making 10 years this year. And I really want to have trainings for shop stewards and also, kind of like open the place so people can understand where we came from and why we do what we do. Now, the labor office has a certain amount of labor laws that they are responsible. They have inspectors that say, hey, this is what I'm supposed to uphold. There are certain things that don't happen here. Yeah. For instance, what if I would ask you, if there's a accident on the job, what happens? You understand? People don't know. Yeah. But you need to make sure that report is filed. You need to make sure that it goes to social affairs and labor. There was someone that came to me not so long ago. He lost fingers and certain things on the job, but he didn't know if social affairs had the file. And he came to me. He was like, we need to talk to you because I think they're going to send me home. I said, did you receive that? Because if you get injured on the job, you're entitled to 100% compensation for that time. Things like this. So I told him, I can't help you. You need to make sure that you go and you have yourself, make sure that the company registered what happened. Because the company's supposed to make an incident report. Yeah. The next thing's supposed to happen by law, based on the social affairs neighbor, they're supposed to send an inspector to assess what really happened and see if it, because if the company at fault, they risk, getting up. It don't happen much. I can't say it never happened, but it don't happen much here. So knowing the laws, knowing because these are things that's supposed to work. Yeah. Now, if you take general laws, if you say, well, these are general laws, and you try to apply it in your household, you might say, no, but my employees are in your company. My employees just behave this way, or they just do this. So you have, or we just do this. So you have to tailor make, custom make certain.
What a culture is.
Yes, based on culture. And here is where the problem is. We don't make policies based on our culture. Yeah. We just take over, general laws. Yeah, that's the law. This that. Okay, but how can it work for you? Again, what is your demographics? Again, where we at now is that, for instance, we're dealing with a case right now where a company is saying, yeah, but we have general laws. Okay, good. But we want certain house rules, certain CLA agreements, we call them collective agreements. So, for instance, you have employees don't feel appreciated, they don't feel safe, they don't feel certain things. They feel that if they say certain things, you can, victimize them and all of that. You might say, no, I ain't going to do it. We're going to come, we're going to say, you know what? Maybe you're going to do it. But just in case it happened, let's put something in place, how we would deal with if
so you take out scenarios.
Yeah. But then let's do it together. Companies don't like that. Because now they feel like I trampling on their authority. But these ain't your remote control, These is living, breathing human beings that has feelings, that has rights also. So usually that's the fear that companies have. That, hey, the union go, no, I don't want to take your company. I don't want to be, you build your company. You have to know how your company make money. However, the labor force, your employees, they need to be treated in a certain way so that they can function properly also. So we need to create a culture that we could communicate with each other. Now, one of the things that we do is we allow shop stewards. Shop stewards is on-site, let's say agents, or that, they will represent the union or the employee. But what you're doing now, you're saying to the company, hey, they got senior people in this company that, because we don't choose the shop stewards, we allow the members to choose who they see as leaders, shop stewards. Yeah. So now, if there's an issue where you need to go to a meeting and you say, hey, I want my shop steward present, the shop steward come. Now, once we have the agreement, If you did something that is not right or something that goes against the agreements, they could say, no, but we agreed that this is how we will deal with XYZ.
Yeah.
So you didn't deal this way. Now, our collective agreement is binding.
Yeah.
So once we sign it, the government has a mediator, the central government has a mediator, the social affairs and labor, they stamp that CLA, they hold a copy of the CLA, and it's a CLA that belongs to the employer and the employee, because we would have agreed that these, so when you hear about CLA negotiations, it's things like these we negotiate. People would, most of the time, if you have a good CLA, your employees would want more benefits. Benefits is usually a wish. Your boss could give it, or he can say, I can't.
Yeah.
Because I can't push my company into bankruptcy because you feel you're entitled to more. You could feel a lot of things.
Yeah.
However, once you have good policies in place, that should be your primary goal, and even good benefits. So a lot of times we just say, hey, you ain't getting it here, but look, you're getting this.
You got to be realistic.
Yeah. So now putting this in place does be a challenge. So when we got at it.
So it's not that you all promise everything.
We can't. You know, one of the things we don't do, one of the things I learned at the beginning, you never negotiate finances at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I say, I got $1 million for you, I cloud your judgment one time.
Yeah.
Because now when we got full in the blanks, you're going to want to spread yourself all over to still make that $1 million fit.
Yeah.
So we had experiences also where companies come up and say, hey, you know, they tell the employees, you can get a 5% raise, you know. Now, for me now to tell employees, yeah, but you need to look at this and that and the other. So I started, hey, if you do this again, I'm going to tell the mediator this is what you're doing, because you're clouding the people judgment.
Yeah.
So when they have to look out or be cautious for certain things, they ain't cautious about it because, hey, a 5% increase is good, you know. Although there's other things that are going to affect you, they ain't worrying with that because the company going to say, but if you don't do this, so finances or financial benefits always after. You understand? You start with definitions. What is this? What is that? This is what we'll call this. This is what we'll call that. Then you go down and you bring in, you know, behavior, how we behave with each other. Who is who, and you put things in place. Once you finish those, and you go through, you could put salaries in it and all the other things, vacation days, you know, jubileums and things like that. All of these things can come in a CLA. My experience right now is that the younger generation, they ain't care too much about certain benefits. They want the money in the hand all the time. It's a shift. And there's where you start to know that maybe you're outgrowing your usefulness, because now you reach a new breed and say, hey, give me money. You understand? Before time, people look like, hey, but they're putting some money there for my children, or they're putting some money there for my pension. You know, that's important for me, because when I get old,
but no,
the generation now ain't care about getting old too easy. They care about now.
The present.
Exactly,
So I seen that, and then you realize maybe you ain't gonna be able to fit for the next generation. So then when you see that coming, for me, that's a sign. Because it will only become more and more difficult.
How many organizations you representing now?
Statia Terminal, the schools, one school, the hospital, auxiliary home, sheriff, they bankrupt. Sorry. We got about seven companies that we represent. You know, some of them easier. One of the difficult things is when you have companies operating here, but they don't have any assets on the island. So when things happen, it's like you can't really hold anything to make them pay. And I think this is something that government need to look into to protect, but again, there's laws, international laws and things you need to look at how far you could do locally to have certain things done. There are companies here, if I call their names, it'll bring a problem. But there are companies here, for instance, I could say where they're from, I ain't call the name, but there are companies, for instance, set up in Trinidad, and all the money is coming out of Trinidad. But if something happened and you need to hold a guarantee for your people here, how you going to reach Trinidad? How you going to get it from Trinidad? And, other things, companies calling bankruptcy and all of that. Now, it become easier. There's case law, especially if you look at things like what happened with Winair during COVID. Winair cut back 12.5% of the salaries of the pilots, the staff, and also cut away certain benefits. And the judge ruled in their favor. The judge said, yeah, Winair's right. Winair after went and bought ATRs. So a company that was complaining that they were in financial straits took away money, but invest the money as well. And today they are a bigger company.
Yeah. I
feel wronged as an employee, but the judge gave them right. So now you got to study about why the judge give them right, and really go through it. So things like this, especially when you're in this field, you got to look at and try to see, why it is the judge rule in this way, so that if you find yourself in a situation where you feel that this can happen, the judge ruled that it can. Yeah. Now, in my opinion, was when they are really financially, as tight as they say they were. That would be my opinion, no, but I got to be careful because there's case law, and the judge, we believe, would have followed a fair process to come to his verdict. Yeah. Yeah. So I just have to leave it at that. Yeah. But and maybe read up and see, maybe he missed that, or maybe he missed this, or maybe this situation. But things like these does help us to navigate. Also, when we are forming CLAs or trying to work on CLAs, we look for similar companies, similar situation, and then we say, well, hey, let us tailor-make this for us now. What happens in St. Kitts? What happens in Curacao? What happens, similar situation. Based on that, especially for the nurses, we push forward that a nurse is a nurse wherever she is within the kingdom. Yeah. You can't discriminate against a nurse. I can remember when we started with that, they was like, yeah, but you don't really have a hospital here. Like, okay, then we don't need nurses. Yeah. Go and hire some people on the road and put them there. Do not put in your ad that you need, what you call them, RNs, registered nurses, because you don't have a hospital here, you have a place. So all of these terms were there before we came in. I'm like, okay, then you don't need educated people. Yeah. If you have qualified people, if you have these qualified people, you're going to pay them based on experience, based on qualifications. Yeah. And that is something that we need to continue to fight for. Because if someone is coming from the Netherlands, study in the same schools like you study, and have the same qualifications and experience, then I believe that your salary is supposed to be on the same page. However, they could have somebody that went to school and come out and they can't function, but that will speak for itself in the evaluation. Yeah. But things like these is things that we need to try to pull forward. The police, for instance, people does, we just be hard on the police, even me sometimes, but when I look at the way they have to operate, it's not fair. Now, these are arguments that, again, I brought up in the past for the firemen, and I did it for the police, but again, people don't pay attention to it. Yeah. You have, 8 police officers here, and they will say, oh, yeah, you just have 4,000 people. But if something happened every day, or these guys have to keep going and going and going and going, and they ain't getting adequate rest, they ain't getting certain things. This goes against, good labor practices or decent labor practices. But we don't pay attention to it because we look at it, but they ain't doing nothing anyway. Yeah, they have to be alert.
In the event of anything.
Exactly. People would, the fire department ain't doing that. Then don't have a fire department. Yeah. just try not having it, because people need to realize that, like I said earlier, everybody have a role to play.
Yeah.
But when your house burning down, when you want to pick up some people to go and just go way down your house or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, we need to understand that maybe people functions may look in a certain way, but it has its reason. So we need to give it that respect.
But back then, when you're talking about the police, I know years ago they used to have the VKS, who used to, when they had certain events, you used to have those persons there as well.
You see that's a very politically charged thing there in a because they take away all we guns. Only one people got guns here. That's a reason, because I think
I touched around one.
No, because again, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense, because if you have a force here that things go in a certain way, this is your force. So again, I don't even want to say your mother country, but anyway, the Netherlands, then they know that they need to keep certain things working in a certain way, so that if there comes a disagreement, that they have the control. That's why the VKS and those things don't exist here anymore. Again, that's my point of view.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not saying black or white, but that's my point of view of things like these, because again, you have police officers here. It's too short. They have 7 or 8 guys here, and when you look at the shifts, you're running an island. It is an island, whether it has 2,000 or 3,000 persons. It's a full island with a harbor, with an airport, with everything happening, and sometimes things happen, and these guys go around the clock, and by the time they get to lay down, they have to get up again and go.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. But in Boneo, on the other hand, it's well arranged. You have enough people to run the shift. So, but the unions that representing the police, the unions that represent the firemen in Boneo, but Boneo don't have a problem. Because in Boneo, you have enough police to run 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and go the graveyard 11 to 7. Yeah. So you don't have that problem. So, but you just on a small island, but then again, we need to voice open. This is not healthy, because a lot of our police officers, former police officers, if you look at the ailments that they would have, you would see it's neurological, certain things where it comes from not enough rest and this and that. So maybe because you're physically seeing them, if you on call, you're not resting fully. You can't do certain things fully because you have to stay alert. So these are things that, based on understanding and respecting people in their positions, you should say, hey, we need to say something for the police, so not only cost them, because we need enough. And I ain't telling you, go hire police from Boneo, put some more from here and whatnot, because when they're right, I'm going to tell them right, when they're wrong, because them do. But things like these cause confusion. Yeah. It's not right. It's not right for the police, it's not right for the fire department. But we don't have proper representation for them.
Activists.
You have anything specifically you'd want to leave for the community of Statia?
I think Statia, I've been on Statia since 2011. I had, I said so much, you understand? I'm not in so much things anymore. And if I'm asked for my opinion, I will give it. But I believe in one rider at a time, one president at a time, whoever, and, letting people take over. People have their opinion of me and me not doing certain things or not involved in certain things anymore. But again, Statia has been good to me. You understand? Personally, I will never turn my back and not say or try to do the best for Statia and its people. But again, there comes a point in time when you come and when you leave. I ain't planning to die or anything like that. No, but what I'm saying is that there are other sheriffs on the scene, and that's a reality. And if they do good, I will encourage them. If they do bad, I won't tell them what time it is. Yeah. But I believe that I have to give everybody that opportunity that I had, you understand, to manage in their respective roles and do their thing. Because if those that went before me did stay in their seats, I wouldn't have had an opportunity. So for me, that's how things go, and people have the opinion. I think that I'm done. People don't want me to say that. Personally, I think when it comes to certain things on Statia, I have did what I can do, and like I say, I don't want to outgrow my usefulness. So, but if Statia is going totally in the right direction, that's something that will be based on opinion again. And again, I will hold, if I have an opportunity to sit and debate and ask certain questions with persons, then maybe I would understand. And I can't say that it's because they're not giving information. Right now in the kitchen, I don't pay attention. You understand? I before times I was paying attention to a lot of things. Now I become a man where kind of not multitasking too much. You just focus. So everybody in their position, and always do what you can do for Statia and for the next generation to be proud of what you would have left behind. So if there's anything, I am fairly young, but I think I did a lot in the time that I was here. People may disagree, and that's okay. I am not here to defend what I have done or have not done. I think that, my book almost closing when it comes to certain things. And I'm okay with that. Okay.
As long as you're at peace and more,
I think you have goals, and you fight for them. And I ain't make all the changes that I would have wanted to make, but I know that I did what I could do, and I would like to leave things in a place that those that follow could say, well, okay, this is what he was doing, and we want to do it this way, but at least there's something there for the next generation. So that's all. And if everybody thinks in that way, I remember one example I'm going to give you, and then I'm done. Jamal said once to me, they were planting trees. I said, but why would I be planting these trees? I'm going to eat from them anyway. He said, if my father did think that way, we wouldn't have nothing today. I said, that's correct. So when you leave, make sure you leave it better than you found it. And if everybody go with that mentality, then we should be on a better path on Statia, or a brighter path than on Statia. Okay.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on the show. Like I say on the talk, jacket imagery, capture the moment, watch it forever. See you guys in the next episode. Bless.